Chris, I got 8 ways to go here, but there's a point where there's a belief in salvation by Capitol Hill. Mark your calendar. When do we see salvation from Capitol Hill?
Not this year. 40 days to Election Day, when hopefully we'll know the outcome of the election. But, even before the tragic passing of Justice Ginsburg, the Phase 4 fiscal talks, the, $2 trillion sort of fiscal lifeline for the economy was really hanging by a thread. And now with the continuing resolution having passed the House, which will keep the government from shutting down next week, you've really lost your last must-pass bill to get a fiscal package done.
I say this, Chris Krueger, with great respect for all the people working in Washington on policy. This debate that we're going to see on Tuesday, is your world removed from it? Is it just going to be a debate about our culture wars, about the great differences between Mr. Biden and the president?
Well, so Chris Wallace is moderating from Cleveland on Tuesday night. He's announced 6 of the topics.
Yeah.
And, two of the topics involve the Supreme Court and, whether or not the candidates are going to agree to the election results. So, at least a third of the debate is going to be deeply controversial.
For nearly 4 years, Chris, the abnormal has become normal. Yesterday, President Trump refusing to confirm a peaceful transfer of power should Joe Biden win the ballots. What kind of abnormal should we be girding ourselves for from November to December?
I would even say November to January 20th, when the Constitution would end the term of president and vice president. So a few things, I don't think people should be terribly surprised about this. I mean, recall in 2016 when Trump won the presidency and the Electoral College, losing the popular vote, he then established a commission on voter fraud. Combine that with his views on mail-in ballots over the past 6 months, and this is a pretty, obvious outcome to where we are. When you look at some of the hard and fast dates as laid out by the Constitution, the first one is December 8th. That's when the states must make their final decision on any controversies around the appointments of their electors. So there are really no sort of hard catalyst between November 3rd and December 8th. Hopefully we'll know the outcome of the election on election night, but with the amount of mail-in ballots it may not be election night, it could be election month.
Chris, let's talk about that and what this could mean for financial markets. That's something the market is pricing, it's braced for. You see that in the volatility curve. We talk about that often on this program. Chris, I just wonder, as you look at the polls right now, does it scream tight race to you from what you look at?
I think what is the real key here is going to be the margin of the Senate, because for investors, for markets, a 50-50 Senate is very different than a 55 Democrats in the Senate, or even a Republican Senate. So I think looking at the Senate margin is really going to be critical, and would point out, too, that a number of the Senate races could come down to recounts. And you have 2 likely runoffs in Georgia, which won't happen until January 4th or 5th. Reminder that the Florida recount in 2000 took 31 days, 32 days, something like that. And the Minnesota Senate race in 2008, which was the crucial 60th seat for Democrats, took over 6 months. So, it's not just the presidential race. I think Senate recounts and Senate runoffs are something to keep in mind as well.
Chris, to build on what John is talking about, a lot of people taking a look at the polls saying it's a very close race, even though former Vice President Joe Biden has come out ahead. Are you taking any messages from the polls that perhaps is different than what is commonly believed?
Well, you have the national polls and you have the battleground state polls. Despite all that has happened over the past 6 months, the pandemic, the recession, social protests, et cetera, the presidential race within the national polls is somewhat remarkable in that it doesn't really move that much. Some of the battleground states we have seen some tightening, but the storyline thus far has been that Joe Biden has had a pretty durable, consistent lead. The big question will be, are the polls correct? The national polls in 2016 were pretty good. I mean, Hillary, I think it was about a 300 basis point advantage for Hillary. She won by, call it 2.5. So, some of those state polls are really going to be key, and that's why you're seeing, the overwhelming focus on states like Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, and obviously the three Rust Belt states.